So you've made the decision that you want to get started in consulting, and it's very exciting. You're thinking about getting your first clients, and then all of a sudden the doubt starts creeping in. You start wondering, what if I don't know enough? What if they ask me questions I don't know how to answer? What if they expect me to know way more than I do? I don't know if I'm ready for this. So if you've been feeling that way, I've been exactly where you've been, and I've coached hundreds, if not thousands of consultants who have struggled with the same thoughts when they're first starting out. So today I'm going to break down how to show up with confidence when you're first getting started in consulting, and how to take those first steps that will help you go in the direction of your dreams without constantly second guessing yourself or feeling like you're not good enough. Because here's the thing, overcoming self-doubt as a consultant is rarely about knowing more. It's all about shifting how you show up to your first set of clients. So if you've ever felt like you're not expert enough, or you're not good enough, or you're not ready enough to get started in consulting, this video is for you. Today I'm going to show you exactly how I built confidence as a consultant and how you can too. Hey there, so my name is Laura Meyer. I help smart experts like you get started in consulting. Today I'm a growth strategist to many national brands and a mentor to consultants. My journey of 20 plus years as an entrepreneur has led me to this place where I love helping people like you get started in consulting. Consulting is one of the most rewarding career paths that I have ever been on in my many, many years as an entrepreneur. It has given me incredible lifestyle freedom, and one of my favorite things to do in the whole entire world is to help people like you get started and create the same kind of business that I have. Not only has consulting given me an incredible lifestyle, but it gives me a lot of time freedom. I'm a busy mom to 3. I really value my time off and having white space on my calendar, and consulting is the perfect career path if that's something that you want for yourself as well. And so in today's video, what I'm going to share with you is something that might be kind of surprising, which is that confidence is not about having all of the right answers. It's really about knowing how to ask the right questions so that you can show up as a thought partner without feeling like you need to know everything. So today I'm going to walk you through my exact process for overcoming imposter syndrome, having really high quality conversations with your clients, even when it feels like it's pretty high stakes, and developing that unshakable confidence as a consultant. Let's dive in. I recently had a student on our community say, you know what, I've been doing what I'm doing for the last 10 years, and I don't totally feel ready to start consulting. Should I learn a little more or spend a little bit more time gathering information before I go out and get my first consulting client? And as you can probably imagine by now, my answer was, no, you're ready to get started now. If you've been doing something full-time for 10 years, you are more than ready to be a consultant. In fact, you probably know too much. You probably need to pare down your knowledge into a simplified consulting offer, which is what I help people learn how to do. So I proposed a reframe for her that I think might really help her and help you. When we get into consulting, we do not need to have all the right answers and all of the solutions and know everything about every industry that we consult in. What we need to have is a skill around asking the right questions so that we can be a problem solver. What you're going to find as a consultant is that you start seeing patterns. You start seeing the same types of problems again and again within organizations, within your area of specialty. And then within those patterns, you can start seeing what common solutions emerge as you start asking more and more questions. So remember, as a consultant, you are not a walking Wikipedia. You are a problem solver. And nobody wants a consultant to come in without asking a lot of questions and start waving around their hands and saying,
this is what you're doing wrong, and this is what you need to be doing better, and you know what your problem here is,
without actually asking really good quality questions to make sure that they fully understand the situation. So here's an example. I was recently hired to help a medical facility that operated within a hospital to increase the amount of participation in clinical trials. Now let me tell you, I do not have a medical background. I am not a doctor. And I really don't know very much about clinical trials. But what I do know how to do is increase participation in programs. It's something that I've been hired to do both in the nonprofit and in the for-profit space. So by asking a lot of questions that just helped me understand what their goals are and what they've tried, what they haven't tried, that in itself offered so much value to the team that was trying to increase participation in this particular clinical trial. So the first thing you want to do when you're helping clients really understand their own problems by asking really good questions is to lead with curiosity. You might have noticed that you can't be curious and fearful at the same time. You can't really be curious and angry or curious and frustrated. A lot of times curiosity just helps us get out of our own head and puts us in a really good headspace of trying to help them. We make it more about our client when we operate from an energy of curiosity. And if you're not sure what question to ask, you can always just ask them what I call the different question. What are you planning on doing differently that is going to get you a different result than what you've done in the past that has gotten you the historical result? Some version of that question really helps open up possibility and gets a really good quality conversation going even before you might be formally working with a client. And the last thing I want you to do is just reframe self-doubt as a strength. It means that you care. It means that you're interested. It means that you want to do a good job. So just don't make that a reason to stop pursuing your consulting business, but use it as a strength. Usually really good listeners make really good consultants. The second is to just use this right fit mindset as a reframe for building your confidence as a consultant. A lot of consultants hesitate when they get that first big client. They wonder, is this too big for me? Am I overextending myself? Am I really able to do this? But the truth is, if a company has reached out to you, it's because they already see your value. So think about it this way. If you've ever had a job, if you've ever had a freelance gig, if you've ever had any type of client as an agency owner or a coach, that means that individuals, leaders, and organizations have sought you out and hired you. So the question you need to ask yourself is, why can't you just do that more? Why can't you work with more companies, more organizations, and more leaders in order to do what you've already done well in the past? And you might be thinking, well, Laura, I don't know. I mean, I was doing a job too in that role. I was doing a lot of the heavy lifting, or I was performing done-for-you services as an agency owner. But I'm going to suggest something that is very, very powerful. It was your brain. It was your strategic thinking. It was your thought partnership that created the result that you did in that role. And that's what a consultant does. A consultant advises based on their expertise and their experience without doing a lot of the heavy lifting that usually is left to the internal team when you're filling the role as a consultant. So all you're doing is sectioning out what you've already done well and what you're already good at, and probably what you enjoy the most, and you're only delivering that service as part of your consulting offer. And if you need to go deeper here, I have a really helpful exercise for you. What I want you to do is this stacking wins exercise. Sit down for 10 minutes, set a timer, make sure you take the full 10 minutes, and write down every single win that you've had in your career. This is especially helpful in moments of self-doubt, or you're wondering, I don't know if I can really do this, because a lot of times all we do when we think about our past and we're having trouble with our own confidence is we think about the times where things didn't go well. But I want you to challenge yourself for 10 full minutes and write down all the things that you have done successfully. It could range from getting the degree that you got, or getting your first job, or having a small or a big win in a former role. Then every single time that you are experiencing self-doubt, or even before you get onto a discovery call with a potential client, look at that list and remind yourself what you're capable of. A really great affirmation to tell yourself at the end of looking at a list like this is, I did blank and I can do it again. I have found success helping companies grow in this particular area, and I'll do it again. Fill in the blank around whatever affirmation would apply to your industry or your background, but make sure that you tell yourself that as often as possible. What you'll find is a lot of that self-doubt and imposter syndrome starts to fade away the more that you practice positive self-talk around what you're capable of. And finally, I think this is the most important part of building self-confidence. Self-confidence cannot be built by sitting in the audience watching a show. You have to get into the arena. You have to get into the doing in order to build self-confidence. A lot of times people think I either have self-confidence or I don't, but here's the truth. Confidence is built through momentum. This is why it's so much more important to be courageous than it is to be confident. So just knowing that you're naturally going to feel fearful. You're naturally going to doubt yourself. This is very, very common. And it honestly shows that you are a good person who cares about the delivery of your services. So here's an example from our community. Recently, I was coaching one of our students after a big win. She helped her client double their revenue within 90 days, and this was a 7-figure company. So this was huge for her and her client. And another thing that might be helpful to know about this example is that she had just recently come from corporate. In fact, when she started our certification program, she was still in her corporate role. So I asked her, before you got started with this client, what would you say your confidence was in order to get clients' results on a scale of 1 to 10? And she said, well, probably about a 3. And I said, okay, so you've had one client who had a great win and you did a fantastic job. But on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think your confidence level is on getting future clients like them a similar result? And she said, you know, it's probably about an 8. So she went from a 3-level confidence to an 8-level confidence with just one client. And I've seen this time and time again. I've seen people go from doubting themselves to generating 5, 6, multi-6 figures as a consultant simply by digging in, asking questions, and practicing what they're learning on clients. So instead of feeling ready, start feeling more courageous around taking action. Here's a few tips. Get on calls with anybody and everybody, even if they don't convert. Take every no as a learning opportunity. Take notes afterwards and try to think about what you can learn from that experience. Make sure that you celebrate micro successes. Ask to get on a second call or landed your first client, even if it's at a discount. Stack up those small wins over time, and that in itself builds tremendous confidence. And finally, just de-risk your mindset. So instead of thinking, oh my gosh, every client has to go perfect and every single opportunity that I have to make a sale has to turn into a yes, just know that this is the path of entrepreneurship. You either win or you learn, and either way, you're winning. So inside of my coaching program and calls, one of the things that I emphasize so much is just the experience of taking action and celebrating every single step. So here's the truth. Every consultant that I know of has experienced imposter syndrome and struggled with self-confidence, even me. But the ones who succeed, they lean into the uncertainty and they take action until they figure it out. So if you're struggling with self-confidence, remember these 3 things. You don't need all the answers, you just need to know how to ask the right questions. If a company sees your value and reached out to you, trust that and trust yourself to show up and do the very best that you can. And finally, remember that confidence doesn't come from waiting, it comes from taking action. Now tell me in the comments, what has been keeping you from showing up confidently? Let me know, and I'd love to hear from you. I talk about self-confidence all the time with my students, even with my family, because there's so much value in being able to learn how to coach yourself through moments of self-doubt, which we all have. It is such an important yet overlooked factor in being able to land high-value clients, show up with authority, and build a consulting business that actually feels so good to run. So if confidence is something that you've been struggling with, I would love the opportunity to help you. Grab my free consulting quick start checklist. This is really just going to help you figure out what are those steps that I should be taking and how can I build confidence around those steps in order for me to be able to get started in this consulting business that I've been dreaming of. So check out the link below for my consulting quick start checklist. I think it'll really help you, and I'll look forward to seeing you in this next video.